Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off talking about PSP emulation with PPSSPP, and version 1.17 is just around the corner. Now, we've gone over a lot of these changes individually in previous videos, but if you wanted to see them all in one place, I'll drop a link to the GitHub in the description below. There's a whole bunch of fixes, new features, and optimizations. For example, on Android, they added in Adreno tool support, which means if you've got a Snapdragon CPU, you can use custom drivers and hopefully get some better performance. And on mobile, they've enabled MSAA, which stands for Subscribe to Mr. Sujano, or multi-sample anti-aliasing, depending on how you want to interpret that. In addition to that, PPSSPP now tracks total time played per game, and the CHD file format is now fully supported. And there's been more improvements to the controller and touchscreen. And I've got a tip here for you if you are on Android using PPSSPP right from Google Play. If you head to the Google Play Store page, it says it was last updated on October 12th. And there have been quite a few updates since then. There's also a Join the Beta button here. If you click it, you'll get a much more recent version of PPSSPP, which may have some of the changes we've just talked about. Unfortunately, for some reason on PPSSPP Gold, there is no beta option. I'm going to reach out to the team to see if we can get that added, because there's really no difference between these two emulators. The Gold version is just the paid version to help out the developers. And on top of all of that, if you want the latest and greatest version of PPSSPP whenever, head to their website, click on download, and scroll to the bottom. We can see the latest version here at the time of filming is 1.16.6. and it's available for Android and Windows. At the time of filming, PPSSPP 1.17 has not officially released just yet, but keep your eyes open here because it's coming pretty soon. Moving on, and we're quickly talking about Wine. Wine stands for Wine is not an emulator, or possibly something else depending on how you want to interpret that. Anyways, Wine 9.0 release candidate 5 has just dropped. And it's got a very interesting fix here. If you are using Termux on Android, it appears that Wine is now fixed with this release. Next up, we're talking about Nintendo 3DS emulation with Citra, but not Citra specifically, a fork of Citra. And this is called Citra Online Multiplayer Support, and version 2.0 just dropped. For those who may not be aware, this specific fork of Citra includes support for real online multiplayer. Currently, it only supports connecting to Nintendo Network, but support for Pretendo is coming eventually. As for what's new here, they've included the latest changes from the official version of Citra, which includes many stability improvements and better Android UI. We've got bug fixes, many improvements to Spot Pass. They've implemented missing functionality needed by some games, like Triforce Heroes. This version allows linking and using a Nintendo Network ID. It allows using Miiverse replacement servers, like Rverse and even Juxtaposition. It allows launching the eShop, provided the data is dumped from a real console. And it allows using Nintendo Badge Arcade. If you are curious about this one, it's free, it's open source, it's available for Android, Mac, Linux, and Windows, and I'll drop a link to it in the description below. And speaking about Android, next up we're talking about Tachiyomi, and if you use Tachiyomi, I've got some real bad news for you. So we talked about Tachiyomi the other day when they purged their extensions list. They said, due to extenuating circumstances, we have made the decision to purge our list of extensions to ensure the long-term sustainability of Tachiyomi. And this was largely believed to be due to a DMCA. Anyways, fast forward to today, and it appears that Tachiyomi is dead. Development has ceased. This is right from their website. The too long didn't read version says Tachiyomi will no longer be actively developed. It may continue to work for you for the foreseeable future, but there will be no support for it, nor the official extensions. And for the longer version, which provides some much needed context, they're sad to announce that with unanimous support from the fellow core contributors and support staff, the core Tachiyomi project will no longer be under active development due to the recent events involving Kakao Entertainment Corp's threats to both myself and others that have been involved with the project. While many will be understandably angry or disappointed in our lack of backbone or perceived selfishness, please understand that this project has merely served as a simple hobby to many of us, with no financial incentive, and such events have proved unworthy of investing additional time and effort. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. I don't blame the developers for shutting this one down. It appears Kakao is throwing their weight around, and I don't want to say bullying, but they're saying threatening. Tachiyomi is free, it's open source, the GitHub is now archived, but I'm assuming a fork of this is going to pop up sooner or later, minus any links that would get them in trouble. Next up, we're talking about a game that looks familiar but is actually brand new. This one's called the Transylvania Adventures of Simon Quest. You may think Simon Belmont, you may think Castlevania, and you may be correct. I would say this game is a tribute to Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest on the NES, 8-bit graphics and all. It's releasing in 2025 on Steam, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation, and Xbox. And I'm assuming the Switch successor whenever that comes out this year. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. I'm a big fan of these graphics, I'm a big fan of this style of gameplay, and I'm actually really looking forward to it. Next up, this is a real quick one, and more of just a fun fact. It appears that Microsoft is currently battling Apple as the world's most valuable company. So for those of you wondering about Xbox failing and hurting Microsoft, I really don't think that's going to be the case. They're doing pretty good. I mean, according to Reuters, they closed out Friday with a market valuation of $2.859 trillion, compared to Apple at $2.886 trillion, just a little bit more, or a lot more if you think about the actual dollars behind everything. That is a lot of money. Next up, we're talking about newly announced SMITE 2. If you're a fan of SMITE, well, SMITE 2 is around the corner. There will be some testing in spring of this year, and unfortunately, if you've got a lot of skins in SMITE, they're apparently not being carried over to SMITE 2. The preliminary PC specs for this game are already up on Steam. This game will be releasing on PC via Steam and Epic, I think, as well as PlayStation and Xbox. No word on Nintendo Switch. Next up here, we're talking about Max Payne, the original, and if you're a fan of the game, you may be a fan of this upcoming mod. It's called Max Payne RTX Remix, and there's a showcase video for it on YouTube. I'll drop a link in the description below. The showcase here is about 13 minutes long overall, and I'd say the game has aged pretty good with these graphics. If you wanted to learn more about this mod, I'll drop a link to the ModDB page in the description below. There's quite a bit of information here. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.